All right, I think we're live. All right, good to see everybody. We're going to give a little bit of time for everybody to get in here, but love to see where you guys are all checking in from. And if you guys are some of our SPG members, love to see that and say hi to you and put in the chat where you guys are tuning in from and what you guys are eating for dinner today or what you already had for dinner. Love to see that. And we're just going to give it a little minute. It takes some time. There's only about 20 of us in here so far. Some people are rolling in, so we'll give it a little bit for the YouTube algorithm to go pester everybody and get people in here. And then I would love it if you would put your questions and comments in the chat, or if you have questions specifically with a Q in front of them, it makes it easier to see. Good to see everybody. Let's see, we got a few comments in here already. Albany, that's awesome. From Australia, and I wonder if Lindy might show up here. Do you know Limitless Lindy? She's in Melbourne. Good to see you guys. Yeah, so I'm trying to get back on a schedule. I'm trying to do at least one live stream a week here. Carnivore Barbecue says, curious what the weight loss is in 38 months. So yeah, I'm going to be getting into that. But so far, as of today, it's weight loss has been 342 pounds. I'm getting really close to a big milestone because when I get to 357.5 pounds, that'll be exactly half my body weight loss. So I'm getting really close to that. And that's going to be pretty exciting. Let's see here. Laura, good to see you. Laura's eating ribeye. There we go. All right. We'll just let the questions come in here. Let's see. I was going to give you guys an update. So I saw my eye doctor, and pretty fun news. For the first time ever in my life, I have contacts now. I'm not wearing them, but I do have contacts because Carnivore healed my diabetic retinal edema so much that my eyes reshaped and they went from it was like one of my eyes was like 7 point something, and the other one was like 8 point something stigmatism, and the retinas were really thin and they had some bleeding. And so I was never a candidate for, well, since I was just a kid, last 20 years, I've never been a candidate for contacts. And now I have contacts, which is pretty cool. I'm having a hard time getting used to my, that's why I'm not wearing them because I look funny without them, well, to myself, anyways. Let's see. Yeah, I definitely will. And I'll get into those up and coming operations. There's Lindy. Good to see you, Lindy. Lindy's hanging out and helping in the chat. Always, as always, so helpful. Appreciate you, Lindy. Yeah, eye healing. I've had four in the last 38 months. I've had 4 visits to my eye doctor. And every time that I see him, he says my eyes continue to get better. In fact, the exact thing he said is he goes, "You're my only patient that every time you come in here, your eyes get better." And he was showing me pictures on the screen of my eye scans that he took. And he was showing me particular the blood flow in the veins and how thick they got and how much bigger the vessels got and how much more blood supply my retinas have. And he said, your eyes are healthier than mine. You have better blood flow than mine now, which was not the case. They were worried that I was going to go blind or have a rupture, retinal rupture, 3 years ago, almost 4 years ago. They're always doing those little puff tests to see the thickness of the retina, and they were not good. Every time they do that, they kind of wince. So that was really fun. All right. Let's see if we got any questions. What causes insomnia on carnivore and lion? What is the cure? So that is a common one. So for me, I'm going to tell you, and it happens to be mostly from my like my ADHD brain that doesn't like to shut off, and from my addictive personality and doing a lot of things. I just recently stopped, but I was Uber driving. I was always messing with my sleep schedule, and sleep was one of the hardest things on carnivore for me to pin down. And I came to a few things. One, was I was used to just feeling bad all the time and needing a lot of sleep and, you know, just feeling sick and tired and crashing. And we kind of get used to that. In my opinion, I feel like I got used to that. Being my crutch to falling asleep was just being wore down and exhausted all the time. So I found sleep easier because I always felt like sleeping. I was just tired. And then on carnivore, you start feeling better, but it takes a little bit for your hormones to regulate. And then you have to reset your circadian rhythm. So I've had to be real mindful and intentional on doing some on creating a schedule, a pre-sleep schedule that has helped me a ton. And so I'm just going to go down the list of things that help me sleep. And one is grounding sheets help me sleep. Two are blue light blocking glasses that I put on at sundown. Three is when I get up in the morning, as soon as the sun comes up, I want to go out, even if it's just for 5 or 10 minutes, and look at the horizon and stare into the sun. And I also want to go out as the sun's going down and just see that for 5 minutes. And that really does help reset your circadian rhythm. And then sleeping in a dark, cool room with your grounding sheets. Also, when I put on the red light sunglasses at sundown, I also turn off these lights in here and I turn on red lights. And so those red lights mimic kind of a dusk scenario, and it just lets it lets your circadian rhythm sync with your sunrise and sunset so that your body gets ready to sleep. And then I did start taking some melatonin again, just as a bridge. I started this a couple weeks ago when I stopped Uber driving. I guess it was about three. Oh no, it's been almost 4 weeks, 5 weeks now. Actually, time flies. But when I stopped doing that and screwing up my sleep schedule, I started creating a sleep um, protocol before bed and turning it into a habit, so that just these few things start telling my mind that we're getting ready, that we're going to be going to sleep pretty soon. And it's made a huge difference, and sleep definitely helps. Let's see. Just going to go see if we have any more questions yet before I go on. All right, you guys are being shy. All right. Somebody said I'm glowing. That's awesome. That's the carnivore glow. Oh, can you talk about iodine? If I recall, you did mention in one of your open chats that you're taking it at one point. Are you still taking it? Oh, absolutely. Where is it? Right here. I take Lugol's every morning. Yeah. And it's just, so I don't think iodine's for everybody. I think Dr. Brownstein says that it is for everybody, but I think that it's worth a shot to see if you're one of those people. And I think for people like me that are in the Rocky Mountains at Mile High, basically, and not around any seafood and pretty far from the oceans, I'm not going to get a lot of natural iodine in the food that I'm eating. So I had a serious iodine deficiency, and it was absolutely, transformative when I started taking it. In fact, I started seeing I was kind of colorblind and everything was real dim colors, and I got my color vision back, and everything immediately looked like it was in high definition again. And Dr. Phil and SBG kind of researched that, and he found that it has an axis to the thyroid, which of course that iodine is huge for is your thyroid function. Where I forget what it is, but there's some hormone that I think it's like T4 or T3 that your thyroid's not putting out or not converting or whatever into another hormone that is essential for your cones in your eye, which is responsible for your color vision to function. And so it just gives me a ton of my morning routine is to take 15 grams of creatine monohydrate, and I put my 20 milligrams of iodine 5% in there, and Lugol's, and it just turns my brain on, and my day goes much, much better. And I just, all your cells in your body require iodine to function, but especially for your thyroid function. But you have to be careful. You can't just go straight to that dosage. You kind of have to titrate it up. And also, they say people with Hashimoto's should not take it, maybe, or I think that's still a little bit on the fence. Or if you do have Hashi's, not to take it in high doses right away to really titrate up your dosage. So that's definitely something on an individual basis that you kind of got to work out for yourself. But it's been huge for me because I was definitely deficient in it. Let's see. That's awesome. VO2 max is excellent. All right. Yeah, it's good to see you, Shermy. Let's see. All right. So I was going to talk a little bit about recently. I've been working out quite a bit more, and I stay away from that topic quite a lot because when I was doing carnivore or started carnivore 38 months ago, any one of these channels that I saw where it was the gym bros or whatever talking about you just got to get into the gym and you got to work out through the pain and you got to pain's just your inner bitch leaving the body. All those guys, I would just flip off of those channels, and I have not changed my mind on those channels one bit because I firmly believe that yeah, exercise is a good thing, but you have to be healthy enough to exercise. And what I see so much is people make uh plans and they take on way too much to keep it consistent because they overload themselves and they put too much on themselves too quickly. And so they don't even have their diet on lockdown. They haven't prioritized healing. And then everything falls apart because they decide that they're not only going to change their diet, but they're going to get up early and they're going to make time in their day to go to the gym and work out. And they're going to do all the hard things at the same time. And I think that's an absolutely terrible idea because, when I was doing this, when I started, I couldn't even stand up for 90 seconds, and so all those channels would have told me to do these chair workouts and do all these things. Well, if you don't have strength and energy and the, endurance to even cook for yourself every day, what in the world are you going to, waste any of your energy expenditure and your mental fortitude on going to the gym or doing chair exercises or whatever people are telling you? And that drove me nuts, because I was just struggling to breathe and get to the bathroom and try to get the food that I needed and try to keep up with dishes and clean, the area that I was cooking in and all those things because I was just in a really bad spot. And I know that, I was an extreme spot, but there's a lot of you that are in that spot too. And so I just wanted to put it in perspective because I'm on the other side of the fence now because of the healing that carnivore gave me. And I just wanted to give my perspective on it. And this is just me, but this is just what I was thinking. I think that because I didn't focus on any working out or any of that stuff, and I did focus on locking down my diet, getting free from disordered eating, understanding what carnivore was really doing for me and concentrated on healing. 38 months later, I am surprised that I healed so much that I'm now the guy that I was annoyed by, right? Because my addictive personality has definitely sunk its teeth into weight training lately. And the dopamine fix, I guess they say when you have ADHD, the dopamine swings are a lot higher because you run a little bit low on dopamine normally. So the things that give us dopamine, I guess we feel the high a little bit more when you have ADHD. So I think that's what spawns the addictive personality. And I was super surprised to see how how deep my addictive personality sunk its teeth into weight training. Because good lord, does that feel good? But I've been wanting to put that in perspective because that's something you're going to see me because I'm going to show the hormetic stressors and the hyperbaric oxygen therapy. The red light sauna therapy and the cold plunge therapy. And I'm just going to see if it works, right? I'm just so curious. I'm surprised at all the things that make a big difference. And so I'm going to start showing those. And when I have all that ready and in place here in about 3 months. And when I do that, part of that's going to be the gym, but I just want to get the message out there of just what I think about working out and where it lands in a priority in the scheme of things, getting healthy. And I think first and foremost, you should absolutely uh, put all your effort and all the energy that you can muster and all the mental energy that you can muster into getting your diet under control and beating disordered eating and cravings, and then use that to heal. And I think what I don't know, I just what I want to say is that I didn't get exercise didn't heal me. The carnivore diet healed me, and then that gave me strength and endurance and excess energy and balanced hormones to be able to go work out. And so now that's all compounding and it's feeling pretty amazing. But I just want that to be a pretty good incentive, because this is the first time in my life that working out has not been a chore. It's actually like a treat. It's like something that I look forward to, that I want to do, that has become very addictive lately. So I'm going to be showing a little bit more of that, and I'm curious what your guys' experience on your carnivore journey has been introducing exercise. But I think, and that's not to say, sir, on mornings when maybe I didn't sleep the best, or maybe I stayed up too late, or maybe I had a big stressful day the day before, it still sucks sometimes when the alarm goes off at 5 o'clock to think about what I'm about to go do. But I know how much better, I mean, I don't even have to get into there. I just have to be driving there, and my mind gets into that anticipatory dopamine effect. And then, yeah, I sink my teeth into it and it feels great. And I love every bit of it. And I actually enjoy it. So I'd love to hear what your guys' experience has been, because it is a game changer, and it's far easier to make it habit when you enjoy it and when it's not painful and when you're not sick try to force it in there and think that that's going to heal you. I think it's a great way to get, what would you call that? Like exercise fatigue, or like, oh, what do you call that? Aversion, exercise aversion. I feel like that's what I'd had all my life by forcing it when I felt bad and wasn't healed enough to go do it. And so that's something that I would challenge with people. And, I heard somebody say the other day, stop listening to people that have never come from where you came from or gotten to where you want to go tell you how to get there. you know and so that's kind of where I'm at, because I think that the people that tell you to suck it up and to go work through the pain and all that stuff, I think they've just never been that sick before. I think they've just never been in that big of a spot that uh that they've never had to try to budget their energy and their you know mental bandwidth so tightly that you had to choose between some days washing clothes or some days doing dishes so that you can eat it again, because you just didn't have anything in the tank. And I think the reason why we all jump onto these, we go from one ditch of not doing anything and feeling terrible, and then we immediately craft this crazy schedule of how strict we're going to do this, and uh how low calorie we're going to do this, and how many days a week, and you craft this crazy workout schedule of steps and cardio and weight training and all this stuff, and try to build it all on there. And I think that that comes from that old diet mentality, where you're about to do something that's going to suck, is what you're thinking. And it's not, it's going to take a lot to get any results from it. So you want to get the most results out of the suck that you can in the shortest period of time, because we think that if we get to a certain point and we look a certain way and if we weigh a certain weight, that we're going to get to where we want to be, and then we can just try to maintain and it won't suck anymore and we won't have to suffer as much. And that is silly, right? Because the real way that I found in my mind for it to stop sucking is to heal. And that's been absolutely the most transformative thing that this last 38 months has shown me was for the first time I put nourishment and healing ahead of arbitrary things. And just on kind of how I look at things in my faith walk and spiritually, as I think one thing that we get wrong, and you don't have to agree with me on this, but this is true to my story, is I think for 39 years, I kept trying to make my body weigh and look a certain way. And I thought that was going to fix the things inside. But I think what we have to do is fix the things inside and understand personally what's made, made the big difference for me is understanding who I am inside as a spirit being, and then manifesting our body to look like that, to let that thing heal from the inside, and that will produce the body that aligns with it. And that has certainly been true for me, because that was the biggest thing, because we think, well, I won't be depressed and I won't have anxiety and I won't hate myself and I won't be miserable if my body looks this way. Where the truth is, I think that if you fix those things inside first, then your body comes around and it aligns with that, who you really are, and that's kind of an interesting thing that I've definitely been latching my brain onto, because I've been focusing a lot more on that, and it has been pretty transformative, And meanwhile, I have a picture around here. Well, in fact, my friend Ada sent me a picture of like 20 years ago when I'd done a starvation diet for 17 months, and I only ate twice a week for 17 months, and I would only eat 1,000 calories each meal. So I was eating 2,000 calories a meal. And I was working about 55, 60 hours a week in construction, and we were playing softball, and I was exercising. I was just beating the crap out of my body. And I got 300 pounds off, and I had never been more broken in my life. I'd never been, well, almost never been more suicidal in my life than that, because it was such a letdown to get down to a weight goal that I thought was going to fix all the problems. And they were all there in spades. And I felt crappy, and I didn't feel strong. And and I knew it wasn't sustainable what I was doing. And so I knew as soon as I started eating again, the weight was going to come back on, because I hadn't actually fixed any problems. I was just manipulating things by torturing myself. And sure enough, when I started eating what I thought was healthy back then, a normal diet, I got married. My wife started cooking homemade, healthier meals, or so we thought. And I gained 300 pounds plus so fast it'd make your head spin, because all the weight just came back on, because nothing was fixed. My metabolism was worse off, and I was sicker than ever when that weight came back on. I was weaker because I had eaten a lot of muscle from the starvation diet for 17 months. So I was weaker. The weight felt heavier. My body, I hadn't adjusted, I still had insulin resistance. My body was, and my metabolism was still tanked, and I hadn't worked on any of the real problems. And so it was just a unsustainable manipulation, which is what I think that all calorie restrictive diets are, which is why, it goes back to that conversation on calories. All the doctors and all the dietitians think I'm crazy when we talk about not caring about calories. But the reason why I don't care about calories is, yes, I understand that there is some matrix that the more building blocks and the more molecules you consume will absolutely affect the size of body you're going to have. But the reason why it doesn't matter is because those same building blocks are the very things that heal your endocrine system and heal your metabolism, so that you have a higher maintenance demand, so that uh, you can burn through more food. But also it heals all those things so that you start getting appetite and control and hunger signal and control back, and your hormones balance, and it fixes your hormones. And as it would turn out, that even if we gain some weight at first, the reality of it is that is that's the precursor to the size of body that you actually want, is healing all those mechanisms, so that your body self-regulates, so it brings it down. But the unspoken truth of that is that it's not going to happen overnight. And absolutely, you can starve yourself into a calorie restrictive diet and lose more weight quicker. Sometimes, for some people, not the case, but for a lot of people, it is the case. but it's not sustainable and it's not the answer. It's just a band-aid and it's just a deception. And then you're like me, you spend 26, 27 years repeating that cycle of body manipulation, making your metabolism worse, losing muscle and lean mass, and then just gaining it back because your metabolism's worse off and you haven't really addressed insulin resistance, and it all just comes flying back on, and you're even further into the woods by that point. And so that's why it doesn't have to happen overnight with carnivore when you're healing, because it's sustainable, it's long term, it's permanent, and it really does free you from disordered eating. It heals your metabolism, it heals your endocrine system, it heals your hormones. And then it becomes so sustainable that it no longer becomes this anxiety driven, white knuckling, terrible task that you have to abuse yourself with all the time. It becomes just a way of life. And then the permanent, everlasting results start stacking on and compounding over time. And it's crazy. And that's that's just what I wanted to talk about, because that's where I'm at right now. And right now, with that added increase in energy and stamina and recovery and strength, and just overall everything becoming easier, I'm investing that now into working out and weight training, and it's working fantastically. It's the first time ever that I've actually enjoyed it, which when you enjoy it and you get a little bit addicted to it, man, is it so much more, sustainable and easy to be consistent, right? And looking forward to it. So anyways, I'm happy to share that, but I don't want people to think that this turned into a gym bro uh, channel or whatever. I'm not showing it because I'm saying that the exercise is the thing that's going to heal you. I'm saying it because carnivore nourishment and healing is the thing that pays dividends for you to be put in more movement and get stronger and actually get some crazy benefits in the gym and make it sustainable. So anyways, that's what I wanted to work into this today. So I'm going to see what questions, while I was pontificating, what you guys had to say here. And what am I missing? Any recommendations for a great grounding sheet company? I really haven't gotten that particular about it. I just went on Amazon and I just got a queen size grounding sheet. And the only thing that I looked for was one. I had some of the grounding sheets feel like they're made of plastic. And I hate that because then they feel like they're sticking to your skin. But some of them are these woven fabrics that have cotton and these conductive fabrics in it. And I forget what they're called, but I would just look into that, because the non-breathable, all plasticky, nylon-y feeling crap that stick to my back all night. That was not a fun feeling. But the sheets that have more cotton in them and that the conductive fibers are woven in, that's the ones that I like. They are the more expensive ones, but they are worth it. All right. Gregory, thanks for joining as a member. I appreciate you, man. Let's see. Todd, would you reset your carnivore clock today, number one, if you fell off the wagon for a week? Yeah, for sure. The longevity of carnivore is, I've never fallen off the wagon on carnivore, but at the same time, that was because I did a low fat, uh, high protein, moderate carbohydrate diet for like 14 months. And then that took me into keto for like 2.5 years. And then that took me into ketovore for like 8 months or something. So I did all my falling off then. And then life got serious enough after congestive heart failure and COVID and the stroke and being put on oxygen. And just, I had one foot in the grave at that time. They gave me a pretty grim diagnosis where I wasn't going to make it. I could tell by everybody that saw me that I would let them see every once in a while, once a month or something. The look on their face was like, "Oh, you're a dead man." So every time, so things got serious enough that I didn't fall off. But when I was falling off, because I thought about this a lot. If I used to not give any of those other diets any credit, but actually that built a lot of resilience, and I did build the mindset where if you have a bad day or whatever, just it doesn't matter, right? This is not this is just a trajectory. There is no destination. We're just pointing in the right trajectory, and we just have to keep. When we get off course, we just got to adjust and get right back on it, and then you have to take it from there. And so yeah, I would absolutely, if you fell off the wagon, all the positive things that are going to help you get better sleep, they're still, maybe they're not working at 100%, but those are still going to be good habits to get into, and they're still going to produce positive dividends uh, as you're incorporating them. But what I wouldn't do is, if you're struggling, if this becomes a bandwidth problem, I would not take on too many things until I got the diet. The diet has to be number one. So if your sleep is screwed up and you end up being tired in the day and you have to take some naps, if you're in a spot where you can take some naps, I think that the first thing you have to do is throw everything that you have to give, all the willpower, all the attention, all the consistency, whatever, all your motivation has to go into locking down the diet and getting free. So you got to eat, I would, before I'd buy, grounding sheets, or before I would do any of that, I would join SPG. I would make as many meetings as you can, and I would get your food environment stacked up to where you food prep, where you have things on hand, where it's efficient and the path of least resistance to making carnivore food. And I would just get into a habit of being consistent on that. And then when that becomes easier and you start to heal and it produces more energy and the carnivore calm, and it's not such a struggle to stay carnivore, and you understand what makes you weak on falling off the diet, which is poor preparation, letting yourself be hungry with no carnivore food around, to where the little sugar demons can get back in and mess with you. I would work on locking that down first, and then I'd work on healing. And then I would work on spending money and time. Like, I would first spend the money on, an air fryer or whatever makes it super fast and easy and just path of least resistance to making a steak. And then if I had excess, if I had that locked down and I had anything left past that, then I would start doing these other things. But so yeah, if you have the capacity to add in the circadian sleep reset and those things, then yeah, I would absolutely do it day one, because they're still gonna, even if you fell off the wagon. But the fact that you're falling off the wagon, I would probably focus my attention on that first, and making sure I at least understood why that happened, and be mindful of you know, building up a defense to keep that from happening again. All right. I finally got some biceps, only took 7 years. Hey, it's never too late. That's awesome. Let's see here. I enjoy exercising, such as swimming. Oh, I think I can I can. There we go. I should be popping these up so you guys can see the ones. I am a terrible YouTuber. I enjoy exercising, such as swimming, strength training, and vibration plate. I haven't been exercising lately, though, but I am doing some dry fasting. Yeah, that's awesome. I do all those things too. I have a few regimens that I've been doing in the morning when I get up. I do the Wim Hof breathing as soon as I wake up. It takes about 8 minutes. And then I do 8 to 9 minutes. And then I go out and first I put these compression wraps on my legs, squeeze the fluid out of there. And then I get my workout stuff on, and I go stand on the shake plate for 10 minutes. And then I put my forearms on the shake plate for another 5 minutes. And then I do the rebounder for 10 sets of 100 calf raises on the rebounder to get the lymphatics pumping. And oh, and before I do that, before I go out, after I do the Wim Hof breathing, I do the big six exercise, which only takes about it takes about 4 minutes. And I have a massage gun. And if you don't know what it is, look it up on YouTube. But that's where you hit the lymph valves, like in your collarbone, behind your jaw, then your armpits, then the top of your abdomen, then in your waist where your hips and um, groin bend, and then behind the knees, and then you go back up to the to the collarbone, and that kind of opens up the lymphatics to get it flowing. And then I go out and do the shake plate after that, and then I do the rebounder, and then I'll even come back in sometimes and do the big six again. But they were serious about that, that when you do it, you should only do that a few times a week when you're first starting out, because it does, when your lymphatics are really backed up and have been for a while, you do detox, and it can make you not feel so great. And that was the case for the first month that I was doing that. Uh, do you think I forget to put this up. Do you think DEXA scans are accurate? I took one. My body fat was 34%. I'm 5'9", 132 pounds. My smart scale has me at 18%. So I figure I was about 5% over that. So I don't know. As far as the hierarchy of body composition scans go, I know that the gold standard is a MRI, a body comp MRI. And that's the one that's supposed to be able to tell you that's the most accurate. And then after that is DEXA scan. And I don't put any trust into those stupid smart scales. I don't think they can be accurate. I think there's too many things that could throw those things off. I mean, there are so many things that could throw those things off that it's not even funny. So I think that the scale is screwed up. But what I also know is that men can look very lean and feel their best at about 24% body fat, and women tend to carry more body fat percentage than that. Most healthy women are right around the 30 to 32% body fat, and they can look very, very lean. So I would suspect that the DEXA scan is much closer than the smart scale. And I think that's fine. I think that I think when you see these bodybuilders that are trying to be 5% body fat and stuff, one, they look like a freak of nature. And two, they're doing so much harm. I mean, look at Rich Piana. He just died like 2 years ago. And I mean, he looked like a rhinoceros, but he was part of the 5% club. That was his big brand, was keeping his body fat under 5%. Of course, he was taking so many steroids. It was, and all those antibiotics, it wasn't even funny. And what happens when you eat low fat and you take steroids? Your body starts stealing fat from other organ tissue for the things that are activating it. And that's what happened to him. His body ate the fat in his brain, and it ended up eating a hole in his brain. He had an aneurysm, getting a haircut, and he just dropped dead. And so, we're not meant to be these super low swimsuit models. But the fact of the matter is, when you eat a species appropriate diet, the composition of how the fat forms on our body, especially if you get good sleep. When we're stressed out, we're always in the fight or flight. It ends up becoming, and we're eating bad food that's poisoning us, keeping us in fight or flight, keeping us sick. Those things tend to go around the belly and get love handles and visceral fat and all those bad types of fat. But there's also good fat when you're eating a species appropriate diet. The composition and the distribution of the fat is much more aesthetically pleasing, and it's to those areas that our species tends to like, depending on your sex and all those things. And 30% to 32% body fat for women is, awesome. It's what we're supposed to look like, and 24 to 26% for guys is very anyway, some guys are 18%, some guys are 26%, but they can look incredibly lean and even have abs, and same with women at 30 to 32%. So I don't think you're far off at all. And I think your DEXA scan is probably correct. Let's see. Todd, what creatine brand do you use? Let me get it here. I just use the GNC one because all that's in here is creatine monohydrate. And I can get these giant GNC giant tubs of it for, I don't know, I think they're like 45, $50 or something. And I take so much of it that I think those are a good value. So that's the one that I've been using. And they make them in capsules and stuff. I don't mind them. I feel like I like the absorption hit when I take them. So I just put them in a glass. I put just a little bit of water in it, and I put my iodine in there, and I put all the things that taste gross, and I just hit it in one drink, and then it's done, Do you feel any difference once you started using the grounding sheet? Oh yeah, for sure. My sleep is way better. I get much more calmer. I'm an electrician by trade, and I have what's called the Fluke True RMS multimeter. And so it reads real slight frequencies and voltages that are going through things. And so I wanted to test it. And so I tested myself. I put one probe in the outlet and the grounding plug on the outlet, and one on myself. And sure enough, there was some transient voltage there. And then as soon as I sat down on the sheet, it went away, And so I was like, all right, well, at least there's something measurable there. And what was crazy, well, in fact, the very first time, like 3 years ago, I was still stuck in my recliner, and I bought a foot grounding pad, and I bought kind of this chair grounding thing that went over my chair. And I was plugging all the things in, and I'd plugged one in to an outlet, but I didn't think that I had it plugged into any of the sheets yet. And so I was still trying to plug everything together, and I plugged one into the grounding port on the outlet. And all of a sudden I noticed this kind of warm sensation of calming happening to my left foot. And I was like, is it like, it's not even plugged in? Is this a placebo effect or something? Like, I didn't think anything was plugged in yet. And I looked, and sure enough, the foot pad that my foot was resting on was plugged in, and it was grounded. And I felt this tension and this kind of warming, relaxing sensation coming over my leg, which was a big deal at that time, because at that time my left calf was 36 and a half inches in diameter, just completely in bad shape. What I found out last week was stage 3 lymphatic fibrosis, um, tissue breakdown. And so I had some real bad problems in that leg at the time. And I actually felt this soothing comfort in my joints and in the tissue, and something was happening. And that was the first time I realized, oh, there might really be something to this. And so now, yeah, if I don't have my grounding sheets on the bed, I completely feel it. All right, move. Oh, shoot, we got a super chat. Hey, Caleb, it's good to see you, man. Long time no see. Are you coming to Montana? I think you told me last time you had someplace else you're going, but it'd be great to see you again if you're not doing that for the 4th of July. I think we'll know next week, but I think we officially have the fairgrounds locked up this year, and I think the fireworks show is going to be spectacular this year. So looking forward to it. All right. Is there any ideal body composition in your view that promotes sustained optimal health, well-being? Well, I don't think there's a number. I think we're all like, there's a couple of videos, I wish I had them, that were on YouTube, of these guys that's exactly what they did. They took like 10 females and 10 males. And what they're showing is just how different each one of our individual, body types can be for each individual person, but how healthy it looked. And what they did was they'd bring in a guy that looked just shredded and looked like he would be sub 10% body fat, and he was 24% body fat. And then they'd bring in a guy that had a bunch of visceral fat, and wasn't very lean and muscular, and he might be 22% body fat. And they're showing that it's not the percentage of body fat, it's the composition and how your body distributes it. And I think we have a little bit of an issue with autophagy and cellular regeneration in our bodies, because when we eat the seed oils, the and I don't get off too far in the woods in this stuff. There's people that want to just concentrate on these things, and the answer to all these things is just eat carnivore. But what happens is, there's certain things like the cells on your skin are supposed to basically regenerate every 90 days. So 90 days ago, you shouldn't have any one of the same cells of skin on your body that you had, today that you had 90 days ago. They should all be new. And I forget what it is. I'd have to look it up, but there's a lot of different tissues in your body that have different cellular regeneration times. So some of them are 7 months, some of them are like 9 and 11 months and whatever. And some of them, they say they don't regenerate at all, but I don't think that that's true. However, and that's when we're eating a species appropriate diet. What happens is when we're eating a bunch of seed oils and crap, those cells, instead of being made out of omega-3s and linoleic acids or whatever they're made out of species appropriately, they get made out of a lot of the bad omega-6s. And there's a new study done that said that those omega-6s, that cells that are majority built out of omega-6 fatty acids, or have a large a large effect of those those omega-6 fatty acids, and they can take up to 3 years to replace those cells. So they try to get on the bandwagon to say that that's really what chronic fatigue is it's oxidated mitochondrial cells that are built out of primarily these poisonous, omega-3 fatty acids, and that they take a lot longer regeneration time. And what's bad about that is when you have a dead or oxidated cell that's not being replaced, that the cells next to it, it's like a tuning fork. It's like being in the chain of a tuning fork, and the cells next to it, because they vibrate, and it's kind of like a tuning fork, and then setting off another tuning fork and down the line, and then you snub out the middle one. Well, it starts to damper the two next to it, and that starts to damper the two next to it. So an oxidated cell that's supposed to be replaced can start affecting the cluster of cells around it, and then that has like a crystal formation effect where it starts to spread out, and where it can dampen the cells around it. And so that's kind of interesting, So, but to answer your question on the composition, I don't think so. I think that the composition is going to completely change when we stop putting in the bad seed oils, and when we start putting in the right animal fats, and we start putting in the right animal proteins, and we eat a species appropriate diet, and our hormones balance, and we get out of fight or flight mode, and we're not constantly high cortisol. And I think when those things balance out, I think the distribution of the fat is better. And I think this is why it's so important to not try to manipulate our body with low calorie diets. And it's way more helpful to just heal our endocrine system and nourish our body and give it the building blocks that it needs, because ultimately our body knows what fat percentage we need to be optimal, and it will put us there if we listen to it. So that's probably a longer answer than than was necessary. I mix my creatine with my iodine, also helps to mitigate the taste of iodine. For sure, I just got to get it down. It's like, this is going to suck, so let's just make it suck in one big gulp. My hubby says that all facets of grounding, all facets, not handles. So that's the easy way to get a bit of grounding. Yeah, well, for sure. Yeah, so if your electrician did the right thing and he grounded your water lines coming in, and he jumpered the water heater or the water meter, you have to jumper both of those. And if it comes in copper, that's true. However, homes that are built in the last 20 years, a lot of them come in PEX. and which is plastic, and that's not really grounded. And yeah, the water might be somewhat grounded, but if you use a hard water filter, it's taking out a lot of the minerals. So I wouldn't actually trust that. Uh, Sometimes that's true, but I wouldn't. You'd want to check with a meter, and then on the flip side of that, so the houses that are built in the last 20 or 30 years, it's best to, yeah, just, well, the houses that were built in the last 20 years, it's best just to go to grounding, the grounding plug on your outlets. The houses that were built, 30, 40 years ago, those you could pretty well trust that the water faucets are grounded for sure, because those used to come in copper. They stopped doing them in copper because mineralized water, as it flows through copper pipes, is kind of like sandpaper. And what it does is it erodes the inside of the copper because the minerals have a lot of texture to them. And so, especially when you're going around a 90, it starts to eat away the copper and eat away the 90. And that's why you have copper lines that break, because the mineralization of the water sands down and you get a lot of copper in your water, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing, but probably more than we need for sure. But it starts to grind off the copper inside the pipe from constant water flow. It's like having a sander going in there, sandblasting it for years at a time, and it erodes the copper from the inside. So they went to PEX pipe. And then what sucks about PEX pipe is because there is no texture to it's not as porous as the copper. So that smooth layer starts making it grow some algae and some weird stuff in it. So some of the PEX can get a little bit nasty from what I hear. Let's see. Oh, a little bit lower. Hold on. Hold on. I'm being a bad YouTuber today. I can do this. So you're seeing my green screen. Uh, you're seeing that my background's actually just a backdrop because I'm lazy. Let's see. Let's do that. There we go. I think, well, you can still, whatever. I'm a terrible YouTuber. I hope that's better. All right. Hope to be in Montana. That'd be awesome. I'd love to see you. There we go. Oh, that's my editor. I got you. I didn't even realize who you were. So yeah, for sure. This is my editor trying to make sure that the shorts are better. So everybody say hey to Nathan. He's the guy that puts all those shorts up for me. So if you don't like him, yell at him. uh, because I'm going to Israel. Oh, okay. I must have missed something here. Let me go find. Oh man, that'll be fun. A carnivore cruise to Israel. That sounds like a really good time. You are welcome, Nathan. uh, but yeah, let's see. Where are we at here? Almost at the hour. But yeah, I just wanted to step back in. So what's happening right now, just to give you guys an update. And I gave a little bit of an update on kind of a 30,000 foot view of everything. In the next 3 months, I hope to have, I'm framing in my gym. All right. So in the next 3 months, I'm hoping to have that kind of framed in, and probably have, it might be not till after the 4th of July too, because I have a lot to do for the 4th of July meetup. But after that, I'm going to be showing for sure the hormetic stressors that I'm going to be work with on these different hormetic stressor therapies of the sauna, the hyperbaric oxygen chamber. That one's taking me a minute because it's a little bit expensive, because I was going to get the soft shell one, but it only goes up to 1.5 atmospheres. In the 2 atmospheres, there's a huge jump in healing benefits of the 2 atmospheres, atmosphere hyperbaric oxygen therapy. So I decided I did want the hard shell. And so that's a big pill to swallow, but I'm working on that right now. And I'm going to be putting that in with the cold plunge tank and a red light, UV light tanning bed. And the whole reason why I'm doing this is because I want tissue healing hormetic stressors because I'm about to go through like 5 skin surgeries here. And so I would like them to heal up so I don't have like cross-eyed nipples and or like a weird looking belly button or a bunch of scars. Because if this goes south, I'm just gonna have to get a whole bunch of tattoos. I think if this goes south and the scars are super ugly, I'm gonna have them tattoo stitches on them, make it look like I was put together by Dr. Frankenstein. So I'll just lean into it 100%. Let me know what you guys think about that. Uh, let's see. Question: my why is mental clarity. I've been hearing about creatine for mental health. Do I need to build up dosage? Thank you. So the short answer is I think it's up to you, but yes, that's a safer way to go about it. I have never been that guy. So I have always been the guy like I hear something, I hear the high dose of it, and I'm like, well, there's one way to find out. And then I do it. And so that was how I did creatine. And then I actually backed off my dose, but I seem to be pretty resilient to those things. However, there are a lot of people that have digestive stress on a lot of creatine. It can give you diarrhea. It can just pass through you. And I don't think that any of it's really dangerous. It can just be, just unpleasant. And I mean, what's the sense of taking a bunch of creatine if you're just gonna waste it, right? If you're just gonna flush it 5 minutes after you take it. So I think it's individual. I don't remember what it's called, but if you research it, there's a certain type of creatine out there. It's not mono, I think it's monohydrate something else, and they put some sort of acid in it or whatever that's supposed to mitigate the digestive stress that some people have. And you can do that if it's bothering you, or you can just titrate up the doses from 5 grams to whatever grams is necessary for you. I took up to 20 grams and it turned my brain on. I dropped it down to 10 grams and I didn't feel as good. I took it back up to 15. I felt fantastic. And so I noticed that there was no difference between 20 and 15, but there's a massive difference between 15 and 10. So I stay at 15 grams a day. That said, I have been thinking about dropping it to 10 grams just to test it again, because what people said is you're filling a deficit, and after you get saturated in it, it doesn't take as much anymore. And I have taken probably 4 of these big containers now, which there's 100 servings, and a serving's only 1 scoop, and I take 3 a day. So, that's basically, 33 days uh, of this. And so I've taken it for about 4 months now. And I'm curious, just as because I don't need to be taking more than I need, because it's, it adds up. So I'm curious, and I might try a week of just taking 10 and see if that saturation theory is correct, because they say once you've taken it enough. But also, I've increased my strength workouts to, well, I mean, now I'm really doing them 5 days a week, 6 days a week, even sometimes, which is going to it's going to use up some of that creatine. But also, I'm carnivore and I eat a lot of natural creatine, and I'm not taking it for muscle recovery. I'm taking it for the neurotropic effects. So I don't know. I'll stay tuned and I'll let you know. But I think, yeah, to answer your question, the safer thing would be to titrate up. All right. Let's see. Hey, good to see you. All right. Been a while since I've been here. Good to see you, Todd. I'm looking. Oh, I appreciate it, man. Yeah, I can't wait to see you, Joe. Hey, there's Ada. Oh, for sure. This is my friend. She's in SPG now. I've known her, Ada, and her husband, Gary, and the family for 20 years, but she's doing carnivore with us now and doing awesome. I appreciate it, but I think I'm going to be in Cleveland, I think, for the worst part of it, because I think I'm going to the Cleveland Clinic because they have the best lymphatic sparing doctors. Um, oh, yeah, there we go. Roxanne says she's taking 20 grams of creatine, no problems. So, yeah, and I'm always surprised because I apparently have an iron gut because I do all the extreme things and I never have any reactions to them. But yet my brother, he can take 1% of what I do and he'll have a reaction to things. So I think it's so individual. Question: will carnivore help with hypothyroidism? I think I really want off the meds. Thank you, Todd. That's something to talk to your doctor about. But yeah, I believe it will. This is why I don't have all those answers because I certainly didn't have hypothyroidism. But so many people ask me all these very specific questions about very specific, things, and we kind of get off track. And I think that at the end of the day, it's worth doing carnivore consistently for like a year and find out, because if there's a diet that can heal those things, I think it's carnivore. And I think nourishing the body, and not because there's something magical about it, just because it's species appropriate diet that gives our body the building blocks to heal. And I think our best physician that we have access to is our body. I think we are already built to heal. That's how that's how our species is still here. And so I think where we've gotten way off track is we start trying to treat symptoms and we get these names of diagnosis we have, when I've learned to just think of things more as we are suffering a dietary related illness. And if we fix that and we keep that sustainable, let's see what'll heal up. And then we can troubleshoot after that. But trying to trying to fix symptoms and fix these diagnoses without fixing the elephant in the room first, I think is going to have us chasing our tails and sending us in the wrong direction. So I really would love to see, no matter what, you really do the priming and really nourish your body and really work on the other things like sleep and the things that we can help build up our our body, and try to give all the tools and all the help to our body to see what it can fix. And I think we'll be surprised what it does over time. And I know that that's really annoying to get that kind of an answer. But the fact of the matter is that I spent many years on carnivore now, 3+ years, and I was annoyed with the progress every time. And just because, when we're in a bad spot, we want out of it quickly. But after 32 months, or no, it's 38 months. After 38 months, yeah, it's been 3 years and 2 months. After 38 months, looking back, it's astronomical what is healed in 38 months and how exponentially stronger and healthier and how bright the future looks compared to where I was 38 months ago. So now looking back, it seems like it was just a blink of an eye. So yeah, the process can feel long, but I promise you, if you keep your head down and you stay focused on what matters, you're going to look back and go, that actually really happened quickly, because that's definitely where I'm at right now. Laura said, oh, why didn't that pop up? There we go. Laura said she went slower with the creatine in the beginning, got a headache when I jumped too fast. Now I take 10 grams. That's awesome. Yep. Everybody's a little different. Let's see. Yeah, there we go, Melanie. He says he can hook you up with some editing. Yeah, the project is nuts. I hope to be able to talk about it. It might be more like a year, but it's definitely a huge undertaking. So you guys aren't even going to believe it once it's done, and I can't talk about it just yet. But when it's done, you won't believe it. It's way bigger than what you're probably thinking, because I'm surprised at the scale of it. And but it's super exciting. Lots of logistics, but it's going to be awesome. And you'll see it, and it's going to create a product that you all use, and it's going to be super affordable. I really think it's going to change carnivore for everybody. It's going to make carnivore a lot easier for everybody. It's going to make the adaptation process to carnivore a lot easier for everybody. And it's going to make it affordable, the most affordable it can be with the healthiest building blocks you can have. So coming to you soon. So soon as possible, but it's a large undertaking. So, all right. Yeah, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. I just got a 2 hour open chat. My mouth is dry, so I can't speak today. Yeah, for sure. No, it'll be fun. I plan on in about a year from now, we'll do a live stream from the big news, and I'll show you guys what it is. But yeah, I got to keep it under my hat for just now. So, but it's going to be awesome, and looking forward to it. It's been already about 10 months in the making, and I have about 12 to 14 months to go realistically. But in the meantime, I'm going to work on achieving some goals, which is getting this last 88 pounds off and getting 5 skin surgeries and getting healed up from that and getting back to where I can recover from that, which is, the hyperbaric oxygen therapy is supposed to. In fact, I got a couple of things to tell you that I'm 6 months away from another reveal of something else that I've been working on for about 6 months. It's also going to be fun to talk about that I've been experimenting with for 6 months, but I will not talk about it just yet because I wanted to dive into it and see what the real, there's so much stuff out there on things. I wanted to get a year's worth of experience in it myself, and I'm 6 months into it. So far, it's been super helpful. And so, but I want to get another 6 months into it, and then I'll be talking about that, and that'll be very controversial. I think it'll surprise everybody. But here in about 6 more months, I'm going to give you the actual results, and that's why it's one of the reasons that I'm doing so many medical screening and tests, because I'm trying to lock in some actual evidence, and positive or negative. I'm going to figure it out. And the reason why I'm doing all these things is because, as we determined last week, I definitely have congenital lymphatic issues, meaning I have an underdeveloped lymphatic system. And I don't like taking no for an answer. There's no promises in life, but I definitely want to see what we can do, what's within our grasp if we give our body all the help it can to heal everything that it can. And I want to see just how manageable it is. And then, after that, maybe it takes some microsurgery to reconnect some lymphatic valves to some blood vessels to help some drainage. And then after that, the rest is up to God, which he's definitely done that for me before too. And so, yeah, we're going to see where that goes. We're going to track that. We're going to track this pretty new, crazy workout schedule I got. I got to tell you, though, I hate cardio. I cannot believe how much I hate cardio. Good Lord, I would rather shave my nuts with battery acid than do 1 minute on a treadmill. I don't know what it is, but it is mind-numbingly brutal to do cardio. It is so bad. I don't know how you guys do it. I am trying to get excited about cardio. The weightlifting is awesome. The sprinting exercises, awesome. Cardio sucks. Good Lord, how does anybody do that? I am just having the worst time getting excited about, right now I'm getting about 6,000 steps a day. I'm trying to get it to 12,000 steps, but it isn't the steps. It's the time that it takes and the mind-numbingly brutal, excruciating, just, I would like to be doing anything else but that. I mean, absolutely anything else but that. I don't know. Walking, my brain is just like, why are you doing this? You have a car and a truck. This is stupid. And I am having a hard time arguing with it. I'm like, yeah, this is stupid. I don't know why I'm doing it either. Oh, good Lord. But yeah. I'm just whining a little bit. Let's see. Hey, Brett, how are you, man? I'm looking forward I'm going to see you at Meat Stock. Because I know you guys are cooking at Meat Stock, you, Ashley, and Rhett. And then I'm going to see you. Hopefully, are you coming to Montana? I know Ashley and Red are coming to Montana to cook for us. You coming too? Dude, you're going to love the smoker that I got. Not yet. I almost have it. But it's a giant fifth wheel trailer with 2,000-gallon smokers on it, awning. And yeah, I think it's going to be awesome. And so I think I've just about got a deal worked out. I'm trying to whittle the guy down on price, but I think you're going to love it. I think it's going to be just the ticket for cooking at the fairgrounds. It's going to be awesome. I want to use one of the 1,000-gallon smokers to smoke all the meat in, and the other one I'm just going to put a grill grate all the way low as it can get. And then we're going to load that thing up with like 20 bags of charcoal, and that'll be the searing station. So it's going to be killer. I'm really excited about the new smoker system. Yeah, I know it sucks. I think cardio should be used to get like nuclear bomb codes out of like Al Qaeda or something. It shouldn't be for an activity. Who does that? Right? I know. I'm just doing it to try. Honestly, I'm doing cardio because I'm trying to build up my lungs. One thing that we found that's something is something that I fought my whole life. When the I got to get my microphone closer. When the cardiologist did their two EKGs and they took blood tests, and I just had another blood test, and I got to go back and we're going to do a stress test and whatever. One thing that they found that I've always had is that right about the like no matter what I'm doing, right about the like cardio wise. It can be an exercise bike, it can be walking, it can be whatever. I get this terrible tight feeling in my chest. And what they find is that the blood artery that goes from my heart to my lungs starts to tighten, and then my heart stops releasing as good. And it's always done that. It's been that way since I was a kid, had the same problem. And I did overcome it one time when I stopped eating, lost 300 pounds, and I was playing softball. I was playing softball 3 nights a week, and I was playing softball 2 nights a week, and I was practicing softball 3 nights a week, and I would play in the outfield, uh, and I would run down balls, and so it was basically series of sprinting, and I would have this like asthma attack. I'd sprint for a ball, heart was pounding out of my chest, this terrible tight feeling, and then what comes after that is a histamine like response or like an immune response where I get a bunch of phlegm and runny nose, and it has this huge nasty response. Now, what they called that was reactive airway disease, and it's gotten a lot better. But reactive airway disease, where when you're breathing hard from exercise, it dries out your lungs, and then the dry lungs start, I don't know, they start closing up capillaries or something in your lungs or bronchial tubes or something, and you get this dry lung response, and that's where the mucus comes from and this weird thing. But all I know is it's very, very unpleasant. And it's always been my Achilles heel of long cardio sessions. And so I have to now I've learned to do 4 or 5 minutes, and then just to that point where it's starting to happen, and then take a break. Because if I let it happen, it takes like 30 minutes to recover, 25, 30 minutes. Where if I don't push it quite that far and have the full on response, and I take some water and I breathe through my nose, and I do Wim Hof box breathing, uh, or box breathing or Wim Hof breathing. That stuff will taper out, and then my tolerance just gets better and better. So that's the only reason why I'm doing cardio, is to try to attack that system. Because when I was playing softball, I was just mad and I hated life, and I was in a really dark place, and so I really didn't care if I dropped dead on the field or not. I was kind of looking forward to it, so I would run. I would have that asthma attack, and I would just run through it. And to the point that I would get tunnel vision, things would start going dark, and I didn't care. And I did that, and after doing that for like 6 months, it did actually get better. So I'm trying to do that again, but in a less masochistic, whatever that word is, way, uh and see what I can improve on that. But good lord, do I hate it. And I love sprints, and that's why I do Omera's sprinting protocol 3 days a week. And I love weightlifting. I love those short bursts of intense workouts because it doesn't kill my lungs. But man, extended cardio just sucks. Uh, okay. Yeah, I hear pickleball's fun. That'd be fun. Oh yeah, you remember the softball days? We got to do that again. We got to get us on a team, Ada, me and G Man, and get the guys back together. My wife has lost 100 pounds on GLP-1, and she is trying to get me to do it. Yeah, first of all, I don't take a GLP-1, so I don't know what it's like. But my questions on the GLP-1, and so when I was just seeing my general practitioner, he tried to put me on a GLP-1, and I told him, I said, I will absolutely take a GLP-1 if you can tell me the exact mechanisms that it's going to work in my body, that is going to improve my health, and why it's going to work, and what kind of weight exactly it is that I'm going to lose. If you can tell me those things, I'll take one. And he said, well, it helps with appetite control. I said, I don't have any appetite control problems. I fixed that. And he said, well, it helps with insulin resistance. And my A1C is 4.8 right now. I said, I don't have insulin resistance. Why would I need it? And finally, we went round and round and round. He couldn't tell me the type of weight that I was going to lose. I said, right now, I'm putting on a bunch of muscle, and GLP-1s are known for causing sarcopenia. I don't want to lose arbitrary weight. I don't want to lose healthy weight. I don't want to lose muscle mass. All the statistics show that, especially in your lower body and your core, the more muscle mass you have, the longer your lifespan, and the higher your quality of life is in your range of movement. So why would I want to attack my healthy lean tissue with a pill that causes sarcopenia and makes it exceedingly difficult to eat enough protein to feed the muscles? And especially now that I'm working out so many times a week, I don't want anything to impede the amount of protein I'm able to intake or slow down muscle protein synthesis. So why in the heck would I want to? What benefit could it possibly have to me? Because I don't have an eating disorder, I don't have appetite control problems, I don't overeat. So what in the world is that damn shot going to do for me? Especially with the cost risk analysis of not knowing what in the hell the real long term effects are going to be. And what we are seeing on people is that they become resistant to it after 3 years. They gain all the weight back, and they have increased fat cells from it, and they become resistant to it. And they keep having to up the doses. And as they up the doses, it causes permanent it can, absolutely not in everybody, but a lot of people get permanent gastroparesis. It's been linked to thyroid cancer. It's 100% linked to sarcopenia. And I always forget the one, osteoporosis, where your bones get weak because you're eating when you're not eating dietary building blocks that your body requires to maintain. Your body goes and steals it from your muscle and bones so that it can give it to your organs and the important white tissue and stem cells and everything that it needs. Steals it from your brain. That, like I was saying earlier, that's what killed Rich Piano, was when you have a low fat diet and a low fat body percentage and you're taking steroids, it has to get the building blocks somewhere, and it stole it from his brain and ate a hole in his brain. So what I worry about to the core with GLP-1s is, thank God they weren't that big when I started carnivore and I didn't find them. Because if I would have started taking a GLP-1 and didn't find carnivore, then I would have never learned how to heal my body and my endocrine system and actually get healthy and fix the root cause of the eating disorder. I would have just been using this pill. And I just don't believe that there's any free lunches in this world. I don't believe that there's going to be any trade-off without a cost, right? And so I just don't think we've seen the bill come due for the GLP-1s yet. So I don't know. They scare the crap out of me. I think that the bill's coming due now, and we're going to see it over the next 5 years. And I think it's going to be pretty costly. I think it's going to be another one of those things that Lord knows what's going to happen. I mean, there's already a $2 billion lawsuit against them from the mass lives that they've destroyed. And that's, I can't say it because the last time I said what I was thinking, I got banned from, I got a two week hard strike on YouTube for saying what I believe. But anyhow, come to SPG and I'll tell you behind the curtain what I think. Uh, let's see here. Sorry for the dead airspace. I'm just reading through these comments. All right. Yeah, Laura says strength training should be non-negotiable for everyone. You begin to lose too much muscle. Starting in your late age, yeah, in the late 30s for sure. Yeah, I've been surprised, quite surprised, and I'm sure carnivore diet helps and some other things that I'm doing, but I've been quite surprised how much, I used to lift when I was in my mid 20s, and I was a lot stronger back then. I mean, there was nothing too heavy to move back then. And I'm noticeably weaker, but I am surprised how much more muscle and how fast I'm filling out and how much more muscle is gaining and how much strength that I'm building up. That's one of the things that's so fun about it is because it's not taking months, it's just taking weeks to see day and night results that are creating a whole new level of quality of life of just strength and stability and range of motion and just tightness and things going away. I mean, it's been crazy. And so that's why I just pumped up. I have a strength trainer that trains me on Mondays and Fridays, and we just added Wednesdays to it. And then I've gotten so addicted to the dopamine hit on it that I started putting in my own strength training exercises at my gym on Saturdays, Thursdays, and Tuesdays because I missed a little dopamine hit. And I'm trying not to overtrain, but I love the feeling that I have all week and the increase in energy and just the brain mental clarity that I have and just the overall feel good when I get it in every day. And so I just do all the little filler things like arms and traps and shoulders and just little muscles and forearms and little things like that and body weight squats. And then the things that I was hurting myself doing, I leave that to my trainer to keep me from breaking things because I kept breaking them. And he's doing a fantastic job and he's really good. So that's been quite transformative. Yeah, exactly. It's exactly. And it's so weird, right? The composition is so intense when you're weight training because so right now I'm floating between like a 5 and a 4x, and I would be a easy 4x if I didn't have this stupid belly that when I sit down it puddles up into a spare tire and takes up so much room. So my composition is all weird. This is one of the reasons I look forward to getting this removed so that everything's more uniform. And just also it causes serious lymphatic flow issues and circulation issues on my left side because it's pinching something in my lap now because it's gotten so extreme, whatever. So but what's crazy is the weight is not proportional to the composition change that's happening because I'm putting on muscle, which is much more dense, and that's eating a lot of fat. But the scale, obviously, this is why we don't listen to the scale. But if you would look at the scale, you'd think I was making no progress. But if you were to feel what I'm feeling, and if you were to uh, see the composition changes and how the clothes fit and the range of motion and everything, it's day and night difference in just like 6 months. It's pretty crazy. All right. Yeah, hey, good to see you. I know I'm trying to get these back going. I had to catch up on some things and get some projects off the ground, but we are in full swing again. No, he's not carnivore, which is funny, but he's a good guy. His name's Caden, good guy. Ex-Marine, or not, nobody's ever an ex-Marine, but he's out of the Marine Corps. But so I like that. My dad was a Marine, and he's a pretty good dude. And we definitely talk about things. He's young, but he definitely knows his stuff when it comes to strength training. But the good news is he still has his views and he definitely eats his carbs. I mean, I see him snacking on his rice cakes when I get there at 7 in the morning and he's doing his thing. But also he sees the results I think that carnivore done for me. I think he just, I don't think that he's not super against it. He just I think he thinks that you should have more of a balanced diet. But and he's definitely locked into the calorie restriction thing, which is fine. I don't care. I know that calorie restriction works. And I know, he's at least a healthy whole food person, but he's about portion control and trying to control things that way. And for some people, they don't have as big eating disorder. They don't have as much of an addictive personality. That can work for them for a while and maybe even long term. I mean, there's that kid I did. I really like him. I think he's a really good guy, a really good kid. And he lost like 100 and I think 50 pounds or 200 pounds or something, doing the very, uh, about 10 years ago or something, high volume, low calorie eating was a big thing. And he still does that. So he eats the things that are very filling, but low calorie and, weighs everything out and hits everything that way. I just think we're leaving a lot on the table when we do that because one, you're manipulating that. You have to keep track of everything every day, which is not something that our species ever had to do, you know, and that's only because it's a workaround of a screwed up food environment with so many, hyper palatable packaged, low nutrition, high caloric, hyper palatable carbohydrate foods that we've had to learn systems to try to control that. And I don't want to have to control a monster all the time. I don't want to have to be thinking about it and working on it. I like the fact that it no longer has a hold of me and I can just go eat my 2 steaks a day, feel fantastic and not have to worry about anything. And sometimes I eat a steak and I need another half a steak. Sometimes I go to eat a steak and I can't eat a quarter of it, but that's great because my endocrine system is doing what it's built to do. It's adjusting accordingly to my body's needs. And I have a built-in monitoring system that handles that now. And I'm not weak to anything, right? And meanwhile, these guys have to plug these things in every day and buy, they have to look at every wrapper and yeah, they get a little bit more variety, I suppose, but they have to sit here and constantly track all that stuff. And at the end of the day, I'm still getting better building blocks than they are, whether they believe it or not. I know. And I think that that is going to have a long term benefit into your older age when your body is built out of the right building blocks instead of just manipulating it with consumption control. All right. Oh, that's great. A1C. I've gone from A1C of 14. Wow, 14.7 to 5.7. That's incredible. Holy cow. Yeah, that's huge. That's way more impressive. Mine was ever just pre diabetic, whatever that was. It was like 6 point something, 6.8 or whatever. But I was stuck in the 5.6s and 5.4s for forever. I was just stuck at a plateau. And then all of a sudden, when I got the CRP, the high CRP down and got rid of some low grade and underlying infections and things, whatever was going on, I think it was cytokines from scarred adipose tissue and periodontal disease. But when I got that down and my body dropped the cortisol, I dropped a bunch more weight and the A1C dropped into the fours for a second. I hit one time, I think I hit like 4.6 even, but I think I'm staying at 4.6 or 4.8 right now, but I think it got down to 4.6 for a second. All right. Oh, and by the way, something I haven't talked much about, but I have been on TRT now for 8 months now, and that's made quite the dramatic difference. And I wasn't sure before, and I do think that carnivore heals testosterone and free testosterone and T3 and T4 for most people. But just like the congenital lymphatic issues I had, I think that completely corresponded with the low T because I think I've had that for forever. And the TRT has been pretty transformative. So I've been pretty excited about that. And that's helping a lot. And I'm trying to, the plan is we're almost to the peak. The last one, I got up to like 750 total T. This one, we bumped up because I have to do this in like 4 months or 3 to 4 month spurts because it's pellets. So we added 400 more milligrams, and I'm suspecting to see it at 9. And we're going to try to take it to 1100 and see what it feels like, and then titrate that down to my like optimal dosage, which will be somewhere between 900 and 1100 usually. Let's see here. I still have not found this issue. I'm not sure. Let me see. I don't even know what that is. Hold on. And ask Larry. For all you that don't know, Larry is Chat GPT. I call him Larry because we're old friends now. Oh, periodontal disease? I think that's what you might have meant, actually. Yeah, I think you meant periodontal disease. So carnivore does gets rid of periodontal disease for most people, but for me, it was getting better, but it wasn't there, and so I went to periodontal orthopedic, or what is it, orthoscopic? I don't know, mouth dentist, surgeon, whatever, and they peel up your gums, and they have to do it in 2 deals, but they peel back your gums, and then they scrape them, they polish them, and then they use a laser. And the red light from the laser kills the bacteria that's growing above your gum line, and then it cauterizes the open sores or open tissue that gets opened when they're cleaning it. And then they polish your teeth and get all the stuff out. And then they put you on a round of antibiotics. And that did amazingly because I had bleeding gums, and they stopped bleeding for the most part. But I'd had bleeding gums for 30 years. And so I had periodontal disease, and that starts to eat away at the bone. You get these pockets, and they measure the pockets, and it starts eating away at the bone. But what we've definitely across the board have seen in SPG is that when people have the periodontal work done, it's a lot easier to maintain. It's hard to cure if you have a serious bacterial outbreak. It's good to go clean it up, take your own antibiotics, kill as much of it you can, and then carnivore seems to really help keep up with it. But then in addition to it, we see everybody growing their bone back, and that's a known thing. My doctor, I got to go. I think in another 6 weeks, I have a checkup, and they'll go measure those pocket depths and see if some of the bone is growing back. And I had a couple that were real deep, and they said they might want to do bone grafts on a couple of them, but the rest of them they thought would grow back. And so they're just going to check. But because my CRP was out of control. It went from like 9 to like 14, then 24, then 29, then 36, and got all the way up to 44.8. So that meant that something was causing inflammation and infection someplace. And so I just hit all the things because we didn't know where it was. And the biggest outlier was the periodontal disease. And so they cleared that up. They put me on a round of antibiotics. A weird thing happened when that happened is it caused a leg infection where there's an axis that can happen, I guess, from taking gosh, I can't remember it now. It's the most common antibiotic. It's been around for forever. What's it called? Whatever. Yeah, that first round of antibiotic can kill certain gut bacteria that causes other gut bacteria to go a little bit crazy, and it can cause other infections. And that's exactly what it did. And one of the things it causes is C. diff. I didn't get that, but I got a different different infection. They're not sure why. It might have been underlying always there, but just inflamed it in my leg. Yes, penicillin. There you go. And that infection got pretty nasty in my legs. So they put me on these really torquey antibiotics, which nuked my gut microbiome and gut bacteria. But it did eventually kill the infection. And then my CRP went back down to 9. And I just took a blood test, and we're going to see. And I want to see if it'll get down to normal range, because normal range is between 1 and 3. So I was in the stratosphere on the CRP numbers. And that certainly helped me feel better, sleep better, and drop a bunch of inflammation weight. since I got rid of that. So I'll know next week what. Sorry, I hit the mute button. What my new CRP level is, and if it's still trending down. And that's why I was rushing the skin surgery at first, because one of the things that I thought was happening is when you're 700 pounds, when you're as big as I was, the fat closest to the skin and furthest away from the muscle starts to become metabolically unviable, meaning that there's no metabolic pathways to burn that as fat. So it becomes scarred adipose tissue. And that scarred adipose tissue can release cytokines and cause low grade infections in your body. Sometimes not low grade, sometimes pretty serious infections. And so I was starting to wonder, because I look like a giant wax figure that got set too close to the fireplace now, because I've lost, pretty much half my body mass now. And so a lot of that is just scarred adipose tissue, which, by the way, goes back to our original. This is one thing that I'm kind of excited about. It goes back to our original conversation on body fat percentage, right? When I get that, part of our body fat percentage is figured by how many fat cells you have. I think, most people have around 2 billion fat cells, I think, in their body. But when you get extremely obese and you fill those fat cells up to more than they can handle, your body actually starts building more fat cells. So if that was the case, and your insulin sensitivity and your metabolism basically decide how much fat has to be in each one of those fat cells, and that ultimately determines, or at least this is what I hear. I don't know any of this to be gospel, but this is what I think Jason Fung's work was talking about. He calls that your body mass set point. And that determines how much fat is going to be in each one of those cells, which ultimately is going to, depending on how many of those cells it has, determines what body fat percentage you're going to be. And also where those fat cells grow during, morbid obesity is also going to determine a lot of your composition at that point. If you have excess cells that grew around the midsection, let's say. So the fact that they're going to be cutting a lot of those out, possibly, because I could have 3 billion fat cells. I could have 4 billion fat cells for being as large as I was and having to make room for that tissue and growing more fat cells. So if a normal person, if I was normally meant to be 20%, 24% body fat, I could be more like 40 something percent, 38, 39, 42, something like that, maybe as high as 50 at a body mass set point. So the fact that those are metabolically unviable fat cells, that's kind of a good thing, because they're going to cut a lot of that out when they remove the tissue, which is a good thing because that's going to lower the number of fat cells that I have, which is going to make maintenance a lot easier. And it's going to make my body mass set point lower, which is a good thing because I certainly have excess of those. So that's going to be something it's going to make maintenance and maintaining, a lot easier, I think. So that's going to be kind of fun to see what happens there. Let's see here. Ouch, I don't think I could do that. Actually, it wasn't bad. They numb you up pretty good. So I'll be straight with you. The first one wasn't bad when she did the right half of my mouth. I had a gal and she did a great job. She just numbed everything up. You couldn't feel any pain. You kind of felt a little bit of a pinch and a poke when they're putting the needle in there, killing the tissue, numbing the tissue, I should say. But then everything else was fine. However, the second gal that did the left half, she's like, oh, I don't like to give more. I don't know if I think it's lidocaine is the shot they give you. She goes, I don't like to give more lidocaine than necessary because it causes the tissue to be numb longer, which it is annoying because your lips go numb. It looks like you had a stroke. Everything's like hanging for like an hour after you get out of there and you can't taste nothing. You're kind of drooling on yourself. But she said, I don't like to give more than is necessary. So you tell me when you stop feeling this. Well, I told her when I stopped feeling it, and she gave me about half as much, but that didn't mean when she got in there and started scraping stuff at the root, there was some that definitely lit me up. I told her that she missed her calling. She should be getting secrets out of ISIS because if, she hit that nerve on an ISIS terrorist, they'd tell her everything she wants to know because that was painful as could be. And then to make matters worse, we finally got the stuff numbed up. But then when she was doing the laser to the later cauterizer, it was getting super hot and it hurt so bad. And I could start smelling my own flesh burning in there. And I was like, something's wrong with this laser. It didn't feel like this last time. She goes, oh, sometimes the tip gets dirty. And so she cleaned it off. And when she went to clean it off on the back of her glove, the metal got so hot, she burned through her own glove and burnt her own hand. But then what was crazy is she went back in with the same laser head and tried to do it again. And she burnt the crap out of my mouth. So the second side hurt. And what was gross was that every time I took a drink of water, I could taste this burnt flesh taste in my mouth for 2 weeks because she burned the crap out of my mouth. And because what happens is his lasers are just supposed to be focused with mirrors, but they don't have a reaction until the laser makes contact with something physical. But when the tip of the laser head gets dirty, the reaction starts right at the laser head. So it superheats the laser head that she's sticking in my mouth under my gums. And so that laser head got white hot and she was basically searing the crap out of my skin when she was putting it in there. And she tried it 3 times. And I'm like, don't do that again. That thing is just brutal. And she's like, oh, and then she finally changed the laser head and then we didn't have a problem. But that made me super irritated. So yeah, I don't know. It was crazy. So I did feel a lot of pain on that one. My mouth hurt for 2 weeks after that. Everything tasted like burnt Todd mouth in there. But I think if she wouldn't have done that, that was the only downside to that. So otherwise it was pretty doable. No more bleeding gums here since 2 years of carnivore. That's awesome. Yeah. But yeah, so it was pretty good. We got 18 more minutes. So if you guys have any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. I'd love to answer them. But yeah, it was craziness, but it's definitely better. My teeth have never felt so good. My gums, I did have some receding gums, and my gums were a little bit more inflamed than I had thought. And now they're a lot tighter and, tighter to my teeth, not loose gums. They're all, very healthy. Better circulation to them too. It's kind of strange, but yeah, that did work and did the job. So, yeah, I'm just checking on the chat here. But yeah, so it's going to be fun. I'm going to look forward to the big reveal here in about 12 to 14 months and what I'm working on. And then also the other fairly big reveal on a very controversial topic here in about 6 months. Go over that. And I'll let you guys know good or bad and on that whole thing. And then look forward to after the 4th of July, having some more bandwidth to show you these stressors. I'd love to know if you guys have any questions or comments on that. Anybody with any experience in hyperbaric oxygen or infrared red light therapy saunas or infrared UV tanning beds or cold plunging, love to hear your guys' thoughts on it because I'm excited. Those things are all supposed to release stem cells and growth hormones and promote better blood flow and saturation of oxygen in the body and really heal tissue. So my hopes are that instead of being 3 to 6 months between surgeries, I can do it more like 6 to 8 weeks, with everything that I'm doing, because I think the tissue is going to heal up well. But also, I wonder if that's going to cause me any more problems, if it's going to trap any more fluid, or if we can keep on top of that. But I think as long as I do the compression work that I need to do while I'm rehabbing, I think I can turn those things around pretty quick. But also, there's a question in my head: how much healing can you stress the body out with in between surgeries? Like I know that things can heal, but what downline effects, with cortisol and, just taxing your body's, ability to heal is too many things, so I want to go as fast as possible just because I want to really open up the lymphatic system and promote better circulation to see what kind of healing that can do. But I might have to give it more time in between. But I'll know after the first surgery or two how long that's actually going to take. But I'm kind of interesting to see what that could be. Yeah. And then I know, and I played with that too. And to be honest with you, I hate it. Right. But that's why I want to see what not only the cold plunge can do under, because they try to keep it, I think, at 50 or below 50 degrees or whatever. I want to see what that can do. But I also want to see, because there's a thermal change that happens where those guys, have you ever seen them? They'll go in like the cold plunge and then the hot tub, or the cold plunge and the sauna. So I want to do the cold plunge and then jump right into the sauna, because I think it's the extremes on both ends that can cause some crazy stuff to really happen. So I'm kind of curious to see what that'll be like, and I'm going to play with it a little while. Plus, I'm curious on the sauna therapy, what you're supposed to do. I heard once that you can really increase benefits by just doing it 30 minutes a day. But then I think it was Andrew Huberman talked about the most effective um, the most effective study they did on sauna therapy was actually 1 2 hour session a week, where you go in there and you get it. It was pretty hot. I don't remember what it was, but I think it was close to 200 degrees. And you go in there and you sit for, it was something, I mean, it was higher than 170. I remember when he said that. I'm going to have to go back and find that podcast where he talked about some extreme sauna therapy that had the biggest benefits and bang for the buck, which was you get it to this super hot temperature. I don't remember what it was, but it was pretty dang extreme. And then you'd sit in there for 30 minutes, get out, take a 5 minute cool off, get back in there for 30 minutes. And you do that for a total of 2 hours in the sauna, but you just do it once a week. And I guess that had the biggest long term effects on, stem cell release, stem cell growth promotion, and the highest spike in growth hormones and cellular regeneration in the body. So I don't know. You guys let me know if that's something you do. I definitely am not starting there. I don't even know if I'm going to start at 30 minutes, because I hate heat. I get pretty woozy in the heat. I get pretty, yeah, definitely lightheaded and definitely brain foggy in that kind of heat. So I just want to see what it'll do after, first probably 10 minutes, and then 15, and then 20, and then work up to 30. And then I'll do 30 minutes a day. And then I'll get to more extreme after that. Let's see. Taught I do both the sauna and red light therapy. Absolutely love it. Great for deep muscle therapy. Yeah, and that's what I'm hoping. And I mean, if it's good for muscle, it's good for tissue regeneration too. So yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to, seeing what that stuff does. And I know there's a lot of people, including friends of mine, and that think that the cold plunge stuff is silly, and surely could be. I don't know, but I'm just at a point where I don't believe nothing anymore till I try it myself. And I'll, first of all, if I try it and I don't see any results and I don't like it, I'll tell you. But that also isn't the gospel. It's just, maybe it just didn't work for me. Maybe it wasn't something that my body responded to. But I'm definitely going to put it out there and let you guys know what it's like. Yeah, cold plunge not worth it. You only feel good because you're out of it. Take a cold shower instead. Yeah, see, exactly. And so I hear that from a lot of people, but out of all the things that I'm doing, the cold plunge is the cheapest. So I'm just kind of like, I'm just going to have it, and it probably end up as a paperweight or something, or I'll give my dog a bath in it if I ever get a new dog. But for now, I just want to try it. I just want to experience it for myself. And yeah, you'll probably hear me with as much of those comments as I've heard. You'll probably hear me uh, tell you guys not to waste your money on it. That it's stupid and I shouldn't have done it. Just stay tuned for that. Anyhow, at least it'll be funny to see me suffer. Let's see. I love the sauna. I try to get 15 minutes after each workout. That's awesome. Well, like I said, that might be one of the things we're talking about here in 6 months, Matt. So definitely. All right. There we go. All right, you guys, we need to fill up 10 more minutes. I need some questions, or I can keep pontificating. Uh, but yeah, that's the plan. And I think, and then I got to get some updated shots and stuff too, because I don't have any progress pictures, but it's been, I don't know. I always just look big. So, but it's definitely been a composition change for certain. And the weight is coming off. So I got to put that out there eventually too. They have a cold plunge here in the Lake Superior in Duluth, Minnesota, every year in February. I won't do it. It'll be too much of a shock to my system. Yeah, I know. I'm not sure how I'm going to do with it because I don't even like cold showers. When I've tried it in the shower, I'm like, crap on this. And that's part of the reason I'm getting the tub because I can't just stand under the water. But I think if I get in an actual tub and I'm just stuck in there and I can make myself not sissy out, I think I'll actually do it. All right. What are you eating now? A day in the life. Right now, I do either, well, for the most part, I eat 1 to 2 steaks a day, depends on what my body wants. And right now, I spent, I spent about 9 or 10 months hitting high fat. So I was eating a lot of ribeyes and pemmican, 2 to 1 fat to protein pemmican. And I did that for about 9 months. In fact, for a while there, I did almost 30 days where I ate almost nothing but pemmican. But that I learned some things about. One, dehydrated meat, you don't have 100% absorption of the protein because it does something to the protein when it when it cooks it that hard that your body doesn't absorb all of it. It absorbs a lot, but I'd say it's only about 70%. So during that time, I had to up my protein in the pemmican as well. Now, freeze dried is not the same. Freeze dried is like eating it raw. It doesn't, damage. I don't know what it does to the protein, but at least the freeze dried actually, you get, 98, 99% absorption or whatever. And then muscle protein synthesis. And, but even with that, even with the freeze dried stuff, I found myself still wanting not as much steak a week when I was just trying to do that. But I think still for the micronutrients, I still think I needed some raw steak because I was missing something there. But a lot of that went away when I started taking the raw liver, getting a couple ounces of raw liver in a week. That seemed to supplement it. And then my body stopped craving the steak. But, anyways, I did that high fat for 9 months. And now my body stopped wanting as much fat. And so now I'm eating more of a 1 to 1 to 1 1/4 to 1 fat protein. And so I'm eating mostly New York strip steak right now, 1 to 2 steaks a day. I try to hit between 160 to 170 grams of protein a day to 220. And really, what I think I'm hitting is I think I'm hitting 220 to 230 one day, and I'm hitting like 160 the other day. So I think it's averaging out around 200 roughly. Pretty close, 290 or 190 to 200, which seems to be where my body wants to be. And that's between the steak and the pemmican bars. And so I pretty much eat, New York strip steak and pemmican every day. And I just drink water. And I've been doing the Soleil water, and I've been taking my 2 ounces of liver a week. And that has all been fantastic, along with my 15 grams of creatine monohydrate every day and my iodine. And I feel better than I've ever felt for sure. Energy's through the roof. I have a Rumble channel and I am going to start pushing that harder, but man, do I suck as a YouTuber. I can't even get videos out of my own carnivore meetup because I'm so terrible at this. uh, Todd, you have to reach out to me then. I've made tremendous success. Was 490 pounds 3 years ago, now 205 with all the carnivore stuff used. Yeah, I'd love to hear about it. Hit me up on, well, here, send me an email with your info to thecarnivorecure@gmail.com and I'll hit you up. All right. So I used to use castor oil. So this was something crazy. If you didn't see last week's live stream, I went to see a lymphatics specialist for the first time ever in my life, and she, being that I didn't have any real records of ever seeing any lymphedema specialists, she thought I was coming in there fresh off the street, and she was surprised that I was doing so much lymphatic work and had all the compression garments and all the things. And so she's like, "Oh, I thought you're brand new to this. You don't have any medical records." I said, "Yeah, because I was so sick that lymphedema was so far down on the list of priorities for the doctors that I never got around to it. We just always knew I had it, you know?" And so I started researching everything I could on my own. And so anyhow, it turned out I was doing, 99% of the things correctly. And she didn't have much anything to add to it. But she said, "Your legs don't make much sense because you have so much of this tissue," that she goes, "I can't believe how much fluid you can fluctuate, because I can fluctuate 2 to 3 full sizes in compression garments depending on how much fluid I let build up." And I said, "Oh, well, that's because I've done a lot of healing. It would probably make more sense if you would have saw my legs 3 years ago before I started carnivore and healed." And so I pulled up some pictures, which I had never showed until last week on here because they're terrible and they weren't ever going to see the light of day. And I showed them to her, and she kind of gasped, and she said, "That is crazy." She said, "That's called stage 3 lymphedema fibrosis tissue failure." And she said, in like 30 years and like 10,000 patients, I've never seen anybody heal up from that. I've never seen anybody come back from that. She goes, "I can't believe that you recovered from that." Apparently, what happens to people with tissue in that degraded of a state end up getting cellulitis or staph infection, and either you need a bypass on their leg where they change out vessels for better circulation, or amputation of the leg. And I did not realize that it was that far gone. I knew it was making me very sick, but I think looking back on it, that was a lot of why my health went downhill that last 4 years so rapidly. I think it was actually that tissue causing infections and huge problems in my body. And it came back. I got 90% of the blood flow back, and I healed up all the tissue and even got nerve function back from that much neuropathy. And she flat said, "I've never seen anybody do that ever." She said, "I've never seen anybody come back from that." So that was uh, quite the testimony for carnivore right there, for sure. Let's see. Do you have a video of your entire testimony, all the things you've every time I see your videos, I'm amazed. So not an updated one. So that's one of the things that I'm wanting to share, and soon I'm gonna. That's why I'm just, like I said, I'm a terrible YouTuber. I got to go take some progress pictures and put together some of my old pictures, and then I probably need to do an update video where I can put it all in one video. And I'm gonna have to sit down and really think about it. But I definitely have. I've got videos on Sean Baker's channel and Carrie Mann's channel and Bella the Steak and Butter Gal's channel, plus my own channel at the beginning. But my update videos were like, I don't know, a year and a half ago or something. So a lot's changed since then, and I just haven't done an updated one because I feel like I've told my story so many times that I feel like people are sick of it, and so I just haven't updated it yet. But I do have to get that out there. All right, I love the Dr. Baker. Yeah, but man, I was so much bigger then. I saw that the other day. I was like, yeesh, I was thick. uh, yeah, I could try to see if I had those pictures still. Let's see. Yeah, these were some of the pictures. Let me see if I can do this. They moved buttons around. Nope, that's not it. I'm trying to find the share screen. Leave studio. That's definitely not it. That would have been a nightmare. Uh, Hold on. Where's the share screen? New layout. Oh, good Lord. How do I not know how to share the screen now? Sorry, guys. Is this it? Share screen. Found it. Okay. Entire screen. And which one? It's this one. Share. I think I got to put it on the screen. There we go. I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but we're going to pull it up. But this is really ugly to look at. So, and here's the crazy thing too. Keep in mind, I took these pictures because I was about 18 months to 2 years on carnivore, and I was seeing an improvement of my legs when I took these pictures. So, yeah, that's what's going. Why is this not opening? Oh, I moved it over there. Hold on. So, yeah, brace yourselves. See that tissue? This was because my whole leg from my ankle to my knee was covered in this dead tissue, and I couldn't feel anything from the bottom of my feet to my knee. And this brown, nasty tissue right here, this scales felt like a quarter-inch thick, and all the skin was dead. And the tissue wasn't healthy all the way from my ankle to my knee. And it was just dead. There was no blood flow to it, and there was no nerve function. Let me see. So then I was so mad at all that I started using basically a Dremel, and I started grinding it off. And you can see that used to be that same brown dead tissue. And what you're seeing is that I ground about half of it off my leg, but it went all the way from my ankle to my knee. And this is one of the pictures when I was grinding it off and it was starting to bleed. And this is what I didn't know was so dangerous. When my doctor saw this, he said that was a good way to lose your leg. But you can see where it's bleeding right here. And you can see the tissue is black there. And it was just black, dead skin all the way from my ankles, and see all this skin down here. And this is after I'd done this 3 or 4 times and gotten the majority of it off. But that's how dead the skin was and dead the tissue was and how numb it was. And there was just, it was just so painful. Like I couldn't feel anything until I could feel it when it got real deep or would get infected. And then it was pretty excruciating. But you can see all this black tissue right here. Should probably put a trigger warning on this video, but you can see all that black dead tissue right there. And then eventually, let me see if this is, then eventually I got it off, and I'd lost like 9 inches on the diameter of my calves. But this is still how big my calves were from the lymphatic tissue. And that was after losing 9 inches in circumference on my calves. And that's how big they were. And those things just in this one leg, I could fluctuate 34 pounds of fluid in a day, just in that one leg. And it was so heavy that it was pulling my hip out of socket, carrying that leg around. It was crazy. And let me see if I have, and this was the other leg. This is, that wasn't so bad. This is the good leg, as you can see. But that was back when I was still like 550 pounds. But now I got to get some updated pictures because they are way, way better. And my legs are much more human looking now and not so, not so crazy to look at. Let's see. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I did do a red pill talk. It's only inside SBG. It's not on YouTube because it was a talk I did in SBG, but you guys can definitely check that out if you're in there. But yeah, so anyhow, that was quite the thing to come back from. I didn't realize how dangerous it was and how far gone that meant my lymphatic system and the tissue degeneration or whatever was in that leg, but it was pretty dangerous. And I was never going to show those pictures. Those were just for me. And that's why I didn't take them until I was already 18 months into it. Because 1, I was too big and too sick to even get a good vantage point of those legs. And 2, they made me really mad and depressed to look at. So I didn't want to take pictures to them. That's why I didn't have the whatever, the mental fortitude to even deal with it until I was 18 months into it. And then I started taking some pictures because things were looking up, you know. And I did get some nerve function and feeling back at like the 6 to 8 month mark. And when nerve function started coming back, it felt like my feet were in hot frying pans and they just burned and burned and burned. But it was a good thing because that was the nerves coming back online. So yeah, let's see here. The skin in your face is looking real nice. Yeah. My skin has gotten a lot better, but now it's starting to get not so good. It's making me mad because I'm getting my hormones leveled out with the testosterone. But one of the things testosterone does is it causes acne when you get it high enough to where it's supposed to be, because it's like you're going through puberty again. So I've had to use some alcohol acne stuff, or else some, and it's not been a bunch, but there's little things that are happening that are like, because I was never one to get pimples and stuff. And now I've been getting them. It's been driving me a little bit crazy. Let's see what we got here. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah, no problem. Like, I don't care anymore because now it's behind me and whatever. But when you have things that are happening like that, it is pretty dehumanizing. You feel more like an animal than a human, you know? And so I did not want to show those back then. Yeah, I mean, it's so hard to quantify it all, right? Because I was doing so many things. First of all, I wasn't even able to stand. Like when I had taken those pictures, I was barely starting the vibration plate. But yeah, I do think it helped. I think the vibration plate helped. I think the rebounding helped. I think the Wim Hof breathing helped. I think the fasting helped to get rid of the dead and dormant cells and to get rid of those things and to go in there and clean it up. I think it helped fight infection. I think stopping a inflammatory diet and stop poisoning myself and stop sending bad fatty acids of omega-6 oils to build tissue. I think just getting out of that inflammation, I think being able to rest better, getting my CRP down, I think all of those things made a huge difference. And then also giving my body the building blocks to build new cells out of the correct materials. I think those all made huge things. And ultimately, I couldn't tell you what percentage of what was the most impactful. I think they all played a role. But ultimately, what they did do altogether was something that my lymphatic specialist has never seen before heal. So that in itself is a huge testimony to carnivore. I guess I need to go to SPG to find the red pill. So, yeah, I'm sorry. It's not something I'm keeping from you. It's just I do content inside SPG. I don't get paid to say this. I've never been paid a penny to be there. I donate my time there because I'm really big into, when I started Carnivore, Gary Taub and Dr. Robert Lustig talked about how our health problems are really a food environment problem, and I think that they're so right when they stated it in a way that just made so much sense to me, which was this: that you could not hold a gun to 8 billion people's head and affect their behaviors as much as a change in environment does. So basically, if you held a gun to everybody's head and told them they had to eat until they were fat and sick and miserable, most of them would make a stand at some point and just let you kill them, right? But if you screw up the food environment and you drip feed it to them, then it'll produce the outcome that we've got right now. And so my mind just said, well, if you become a product of the environment that you're exposed to, then I want a new environment. And SPG for almost 3 years now has been my environment, because every day when we're in there, and every open chat I go to and every NSV meeting that I go to, and it's $30 a month. It is less than, a Coca-Cola that everybody was drinking a day. And it's necessary. They give so much stuff away there. They have they have awesome people that work for them. They have, Lindy works for them, Limitless Lindy. Coach Alyssa works for him. Coach Raymond works for him. Coach Laura works for him. Right. And all those things are necessary to build what they built there, which is a one of a kind, unlike any other, does it better than anybody else, in my opinion. But the reason why I love it there is because, right now I'm going to all these doctor's appointments, and all these doctors are telling me how bad red meat is and how dangerous my diet is and how important it is to take all these drugs and stuff, the ones that killed my brother and my dad and the ones that kept me sick for forever. And they tell me all these same stupid lies. And they use, they use your life to manipulate you with fear. And I don't think the doctors are doing it on purpose. They really believe it, but the system that they're a product of, their environment that they're a product of, which is the medical indoctrination, really has them believing it. So they sell it pretty heavy, and it would all hit a lot harder if I wasn't in SBG every day watching the real results and fold out in front of my very eyes, where everybody is healing and getting free from the medical system and free from drugs. And we see it every day. And we make sense together in like a group think tank of experience of what these negative symptoms actually are. And a lot of times the negative symptoms, just like an immune reaction from a cold, is actually a good thing because it's your body healing, because when you get a fever, when you have a runny nose and a sore throat, that's not the virus. That's your immune reaction to the virus getting rid of something that is far more dangerous to your body, a foreign antibody, a foreign virus that your body is killing. But if you were just to go off of how you felt at that time, you would think a fever is bad. And the doctors tell us that a fever is bad. And you'd think that a runny nose and a sore throat is bad. And they love to go in there and treat those things and stop them, but that keeps the virus alive, right? It's actually our immune response that feels so unpleasant to us. And we associate that with something bad that's happening. But actually, it's a kindness that's happening of our body that's fighting for us and fighting off a virus, right? So that it doesn't, take over and kill us, cause an infection and kill us. So there's many things like that happen in carnivore, right? There's many gut bacterial die-off symptoms that happen. There's oxalate dumping that happens. There's different detoxes that happens. There's times when your body has finally got the building blocks that it's been looking for and malnourished from for so long, and it wants you to sleep and rest so that it can heal. But we feel tired, and we say, well, if I feel tired, this is a negative symptom. Anyhow, all these things we get to watch hundreds of other people going through the same thing that are at different stages in this journey, and they get to report back to us, and we get to see with our own eyes this diet that's supposed to be so dangerous, this lifestyle that's so contradictory to the medical mainstream bullcrap that they're feeding us. And these people that are getting off medications, we get to see all this healing people, and we get to see their blood markers improving and their insulin resistance improving, and we get to see their quality of life. But more so than all of that, we get to see what the people are just telling me, that my skin looks better. And you get to see right in their eyes, and you get to see the light come back in their eyes. You get to see life in them again. You get to see people living again. And that is the best antidote to all the fear mongering from all the doctors that I've ever felt in my life. So I just decided that I want a community that is going to be my environment that I want to be a product of. And that's been SPG for me. Let's see. Hey, Tim, good to see you. Yes, and I will. I got to take some pictures, but I will. That's coming soon. I'll do an updated full story with progress pictures of both my calves and my tissue and all those things, and just body compositions and stuff like that, because it's time. All right. Try some yogurt on that. Okay. Okay, well, I'll try that. I just been using some alcohol and it burns, but it seems to do the trick. Yeah, the skin's definitely gotten better for sure, but it's Bill Mott mentioned you in a video recently of how much you've helped him in recommending the. Oh yeah, he was going through some things that I was going through at the time, and I mentioned a vibration plate in the bed. He didn't like the bed. And I know what he's talking about too, because when I got the bed, it's because it's important that you lay down flat and get your feet above your heart, but not to do it, you got to get your feet above your heart and you got to lay down flat because at night you really need to get that lymph fluid off or else it starts really backing up and causing problems. So that's one thing. But what happened was, and this is another one of those negative things that nobody talks about, or perceptively negative things, but actually good things, but it's a growing pain, is that when you're as big as I was and big as Bill was, it changes your frame and it changes your bone structure and how it's aligned and how it's formed and how it gets used to accommodating and compensating for the weight. But as you lose weight and you start to lay down flat again and you start to live normal again, there's a fairly uncomfortable restructuring of your frame and realignment of your frame where your knees come together, your hips go back into place, your back straightens out, and your back goes back in place. And I don't know, just instinctively, I knew when I was in so much pain in that new bed that it was a good thing because I knew that I was in pain, but I was losing fluid on my legs and I was starting to lay flat and lay straight and get my height back and my frame was just more centered, right? And so I just stuck it out and it was 3 months of hell, to be honest with you. But after that, everything got straight again and I had so much more balance and so much more stability because I went through that to let my body get back to a normal frame because I used to lay sitting up in a chair leaning on one arm and if I did get into bed I had it elevated at the head and I would sleep on my elbow all night like this because I couldn't breathe when everything was down to my chest and that messed with my shoulder, my arm, my spine. I had 14 degrees of spinal stenosis, all sorts of crap, and I had to get that straightened out. And it's uncomfortable to straighten it out. And I think that's why he didn't like the bed that I suggested. And I tried to warn him that that was going to happen, but he really did like the vibration plate and he got his feeling back in his legs. So that was really good. Let's see. What else am I missing here? Hey, there's Robin. Good to see you, Robin. I'm looking through February's SBG playbacks, but I can't find the pill episode. Oh, I wish I was a better admin of SBG. I don't remember where it's at. But send me a DM in SBG and then I'll find it and I'll send you the link to it tomorrow. Thanks, Melanie. See ya. Oh, Roxanne's letting you know. Yeah, I think it was like I don't know, 6 or 8 months ago. If I were the lymphatic doctor you went to, I'd want to have them and now pictures to show. Yeah, and that's coming up. So she's going to start doing lymphatic raking and massage therapy on me. And so I think we're going to have a lot more conversations about that. And I'll put that together for sure and show her. Right today, doctor knows statins. Yeah, exactly. Yep. Oh, thanks, Minnie. Why everybody's getting it figured out. It was in February. It was several months ago. I think somewhere between August and October. Thank you. SPG has been an amazing benefit in healing to my healing and carnivore journey. Yeah, for sure. Me too. What keeps you going with the results and the quality of life? I mean, the fact that, it's been crazy. So I started working out about 6 months ago and I started for longer than that ago. I started like a year ago, but I was doing it on my own. I kept doing stupid things, herniating discs, pulling muscles, hurt my elbow. And I'd go out there for 2 days and I'd come back gimped up. So I finally broke down and I got a strength trainer. 2 days a week. And when we first were doing it, we could only do like 3 or 4 exercises in a 1 hour deal. And I'd be winded and then my recovery would be bad. And I felt weak and everything felt foreign and nothing felt right. And as I was doing it, I just got stronger. But what was crazy is the carnivore was, because, you're not building muscle when you're working out, you're building muscle when you're recovering. And so carnivore is a huge part of that. And so when I started recovering and I'd come back, one, seeing the composition changes were huge, but two, the recovery time in between exercises now where we can fit, like 5, 6 exercises in that same hour instead of just 4 and being winded. Now, now it's easy and I can have a conversation. And that's just one example of the recent benefits from it, but all the benefits, those legs healing. And so now I'm just super excited because everything that I touch seems to just benefit so quickly that I'm excited to see how far this can go because I think that, everything so much is healed up already that I don't think there's anything we can't heal up. I think if we just keep working on it, staying steady and giving our body what it needs, I think it all heals. And what the diet can't do, that's up to God. And I think he does it because everything's healing up. It's crazy. Even had a miraculous, like, hand to God back healing last week or, from last episode a couple months ago. Not that I know of yet, Tim, but I'd have to keep up. I'm going to start getting more into the meetups next year. But as for this year, the only ones I'm going to are the Montana one, and then I'm going to Meat Stock, which I think is in Tennessee, but I'm not sure. Or Arkansas, one of the two. Oh, thank you, Minnie Walk. She found it in the June playbacks. Yeah, it's for sure. I check out Bill every once in a while. I've been a little bit behind lately. Your journey to health is remarkable. Your inside of the body's response to healing is amazing. You give me hope. Oh, well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. You should definitely, if you're not already an SPG, you should come visit us there because I think you could find some real benefit to it. All right. Just too bad Bill didn't have a backup of his videos because he lost all one act. Oh, wow. That sucks. I didn't know that. All right. Well, on that note, I was shooting for 2 hours. We went for 2 hours, 22 minutes. And Tim's got one more question. How would one keep going without the results? How would you keep going without the results? Well, first of all, I don't think that there is no results. I think that it's just a matter of time. But at the time can feel like there's no results. And the thing that I keep asking myself is, if not this, then what? Because I already tried everything else. I tried the calorie restrictive diets. I tried the low fat diets. I tried the whole food balanced diet. I tried keto. I tried ketovore. And those things, as I was doing them, got a little bit better and a little bit better. But let's say that the only result you get is that you stop the progression of getting sicker. That's still worth it. And that's where I was at. And it was a very polarizing contrast that I was in because things had gotten so serious that I could absolutely, there was no such thing as no impact. It was either impacting me extremely negatively and life threatening on a day by day basis, or just not having that effect was a positive result in itself. I mean, at first when I was doing this, just not getting worse was the result. So I would say just start there. If at least you stop the damage, if you stop the descent into hell that you're on right now, that would probably be enough on its own. And then what always makes me wonder is people say, will carnivore do this? Will carnivore do that? Well, and they want a lot of promises because they think it's very restrictive and hard. And my question would be, do you put that same bias on every other diet And and if you don't do any of these things, because there are no guarantees, and nobody has a magic 8 ball that can, or a crystal ball that we could tell you all your answers. But what I do know is this is your best chance for sure. And like I said, if all that it does is stop the progression into hell, then that's a win all by itself. Because if the other thing is what's taking you there, if the life that you're living right now is destroying your health and putting you in a really bad spot, then you got to make some kind of change. And this is the polar opposite of everything we've ever been told to do, but it's also the species appropriate diet of our ancestors. So that's what I would say. All right, let's see. All right, I'm going to read these last comments and then we're going to get out of here. SPG is so supportive, great community to help you keep going. Absolutely, 100%. Thanks, Tim. I appreciate you, man. It's good to see you. Hey, I don't know if you care, but we're SPG's doing open chats, I think 5 days a week now. I'm glad to see you're doing well. Say hi to Lindy. Absolutely. And last one, but not this, then what? That hits me hard. Stop the descent in hell. 100%. My favorite saying is that hell's going to come for us all. And when hell comes to breakfast, you have two options, and that's either to come out scarred, which means that hell took from you, or to come out with tools, which means you took from it. And I want to always make sure I come out with the tools. So I appreciate y'all, love y'all, and I will see you guys next week here for sure. I don't know if it'll be Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, but keep an eye out for the post, and I will see you in open chat and SPG. You guys have a great night.